In this video number 14, we are going to discuss the human capital formation. Now, education provides us with knowledge, and this transforms the human into a human resource. With education, if one has good health, then it contributes to a better human resource. Now, a human being with education that would enhance skill, ability, expertise, and knowledge. With health, good health, forms a nation's human capital. Now, since this human capital is measured at a point of time, it is a stock concept. It is measured at a point of time, and hence it is a stock concept. Therefore, human capital is a sum of skill and expertise of engineers, doctors, professors, and workers of all types in the process of production. Now, the students are those human resources that can be converted into human capital. And how do we convert these students into human capital? Is with the use of a good human capital that would help these students to convert them into human capital. So we need some human capital to generate more human capital for increasing the productivity in an economy. Now, why education? Because education confers higher earning capacity. A better educated person is obviously absorbed into a job which would give him more income than a person who is less educated. Education also provides a better social standing and pride. Education helps us to make better choices in life. Knowledge of things helps us to make better choices in life. Then education also provides knowledge to understand the changes that are taking place in society. And it stimulates innovations. That is, to know more, to learn more, or to investigate more. Education also helps one to adapt to new technologies. Then how does health contribute? A healthy person is regular to work and he is less absent to his work, that is less absenteeism, which increases productivity. Now this definitely gives a thought towards the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, that is education for all, and Swachhata Abhiyan, that is cleanliness, contribute to better human capital. Let's now try to understand the sources of human capital formation. The main sources of human capital formation are expenditure or investment on education or in education. The expenditure in education increases future income. Why people want to, go for higher studies? The more qualified you are, the more skilled you are, you get a better job, and that would increase the income. And increase in income would imply better living conditions. Then it generates technical skill and creates manpower, which is suited for improving labor productivity, and that results in sustained economic development. This education also brings down the birth rate, which implies that there would be more resources per person. When the population is less, then the allotment or allocation of resources would be much better than a higher population. The second source of human capital formation is expenditure on health. Good health implies more productivity. Why? Because when one is in good health, he would be attending his chores or his duty regularly, and he would contribute more towards the productivity. Then, what are the forms of health expenditure? There are some four forms of health expenditure. The first one is the preventive medicine. Preventive medicine is which is done in the initial stages of life, that is providing them with vaccination so that the human or a child does not fall ill during his life. The second one is curative medicine, which means that there is medical intervention during illness. This curative medicine is when one falls sick, then we go and get a medicine to cure ourselves. So this is during illness. Then the third one is the social medicine. Social medicine is to spread health literacy. Now we have many, during this COVID period, we have been witnessing this washing hands regularly with soap, using a sanitizer, using a face mask, isn't it? So these were all awareness programs. So this comes under social literacy or social medicine. Then we have had some programs like on polio, Do Boond Zindagi Ke, and all those things which educate people to go for a better health, is spreading this health literacy, and that comes under social medicine. Then the fourth one is provision of clean drinking water and sanitation. So clean drinking water and sanitation are very important for leading a healthy life. Health expenditure would imply a healthy labor force. So all these kept in mind, it would definitely provide an economy with a healthy labor force that would increase the productivity. Now the third source of human capital formation is training. Training increases productivity skills and the use of technology. Now this can be done on the job training. On the job training can be given within the firm under the expert supervision or a senior and an experienced worker, and off-campus training. That means the workers may be sent off the firm campus for training. That means they are trained elsewhere. This would help improve their skill set or the use of new technology. Then the fourth is expenditure on migration. Migration in search of better jobs. Why? Because this would imply better income opportunities. Now, why do people, after their education, move out of their countries or of their places in search of jobs? That is a thought-provoking, isn't it? So people do migrate from rural areas to urban areas in search of jobs. People move from home countries to foreign countries for attaining a better job, better conditions of life. So this expenditure on migration includes expenditure on transport, expenditure on the cost of living in a new place. Then also it includes the psychic costs. These are the strange socio-cultures. That means we are used to a set of condition, a cultural conditions. But then when we move out of India to some other countries, then we have to adapt ourselves to the new conditions, to a new culture, to a new society. Right? Then we have this expenditure on information. What is this expenditure on information? This is regarding the salaries and other facilities available in different countries, or salaries and facilities in the labor markets. This is also information on educational institutions. Which educational institution should I join for higher education? Then information on the standard of the institution. What is the cost of the education? in that institution, on what type of employable skills will I attain after joining a particular institution. So this information also incurs certain expenditure. Hence, expenditure on acquiring all sorts of information regarding labor markets and other markets like education and health also become an important source of capital formation. Just as physical capital is essential for economic development, human capital is also equally significant. But then, how does human capital contribute to economic growth? Firstly, it raises production. A good human capital would help in raising production. How does this happen? This happens because of the knowledgeable and skilled workers and also better use of resources. Knowledge, skill, and better use of resources implies that there is an increase in production. And people living in good health would mean that there would be less absenteeism from work, which would otherwise imply there would be more productivity. Secondly, it would raise efficiency and productivity. When it raises efficiency, this would imply that there would be a higher income level, which would stimulate innovation by absorbing new technologies and scientific advancements. Then the third is the positive attitude. The positive attitude would mean that there is a rational choice with respect to place and the choice of jobs, and that which would bring about modernization. Then it would also improve the quality of life because income and health depend on education and skill acquired. So they form an asset to the economy, which would imply economic growth. The fifth one is that it raises life expectancy because one is living in better conditions of health and better living conditions because the income is good, and hence it raises life expectancy. Then also social justice. This increases the rate of participation because people are educated, people are healthy. So they would like to participate more in the economic development. So then there is greater socio-economic equality. Therefore, a rise in human capital would mean a rise in economic growth. Since the video is getting longer, we will discuss some more aspects of human capital formation in our next video.